Hello, Libra. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Happy New Year, and I hope all of you had a beautiful holiday season. All right, my friends, let's talk about this. So, from Alice, Libra, you pulled the right way, learning to create what you desire, and then from Whispers of Healing, you pulled control. Now, when you look at the right way, what I want to say to you is don't be a martyr, and don't feel like you are a victim to what is happening to you. If you are wanting to have a big breakthrough in your life, you're going to have to step up here and make something happen. So the right way is saying that you're wanting to get through to the other side of a situation. It's saying that you're wanting to have a transition in your life where you become more of an insider and you feel like you have more of an impact and influence on your world and what you choose to create here. But control is reminding you that you can change your life in an instant. All you have to do here is decide how you feel. Take responsibility for yourself and your feelings. Decide to be in charge, right? But it also talks about how it's easy for us to fall into the trap of feeling like a victim of circumstance, which is why I want to say don't be a martyr. Don't continue to do something where you feel like you're not creating what you want. If you want to have a huge transition in your life. All right, Libra, here is your overall, the Nine of Wands. Okay. I don't think that you're paranoid about anything, but I think that you're used to protecting yourself. Now, you may be dealing with a situation here where you've already been put through a lot and you're not really sure if this is something that you want to let into your world, right? You know, it can show being a little bit defensive, but it can also show persistence. You're not ready to give up the fight just yet, right? So we'll see how this is playing out. Now, in the past, the Five of Pentacles, yeah, and with what we were just talking about, it would make sense. So with the Five of Pentacles being the past, you may have felt like you were on the outside of your own life, feeling like you were rejected. Some of you may literally be dealing with some financial issues. But with the Nine of Wands, you know, I don't think that you're being persistent in a situation that you know is not meant for you. I think that, you know, you're just maybe a little bit more wary about what you get involved with, especially if you've experienced this in the past, right? Now, we could be talking about, you know, a situation here with you and a person where you just don't know what's going on. You may feel like you have nothing to give to a situation. Everything's been taken from you, right? You know, but we'll see here, because you may be like bringing someone else back in, or they may be trying to bring you in. And that may be where this like defensive feeling is coming from. Oh, yeah. Okay. So in the present, the Three of Swords. And this looks like, to me, somebody may be trying to get back into, you know, your inner world, so to speak. And I don't think that that's something that you're going to be that willing to kind of like let in, especially if you're focused on the fact that you have been heartbroken with the Three of Swords, right? Being the sword suit, a lot of times, yeah, it can show the experience, but it can show that our thoughts are stuck with what we've experienced. So, you know, in this case, it would be the heartbreak, the betrayal, separation, right? And it's not that easy to let things in if you've been heartbroken or rejected or cast out. You know, but I have to wonder if it's not about somebody that's wanting to come back in. Okay, future conditions, the King of Swords. Now, there are two things that I'm feeling about this. First of all, if we're talking about you, whether you're male or female, with the King of Swords here, I think that, you know, you're not being overly critical. I think that, you know, with the King of Swords, to me, he's a little bit more diplomatic versus like the Queen, right? Because you could have easily turned into like a mega bitch because of what you've experienced. And again, whether you're male or female, right? If it's painful, it's painful. And it changes your view on the things that you experience after that because of the pain. But I think with the King of Swords here, I think that, you know, you're being a little bit more decisive about what you choose to let into your space, right? Now, on the other hand, if we're talking about another person that you're dealing with here, with the King of Swords, you know, again, male, female, could be another air sign. But we could be talking about somebody who is, you know, maybe very logical and reasonable, but maybe lacking something in an emotional way. And the problem is that this may be somebody who is trying to rationalize why you feel the way that you do, but that's not really taking into account how you feel about the experience. You understand what I'm saying? It's like they're trying to reason why you see it that way, but yet they're still trying to come into your life. That's what I'm feeling like here. But like I said, in terms of you, I think that you're being, not so much critical, but I think that you're not allowing any kind of emotion to judge, how you see a situation with a person, especially if they're trying to get back into your life. But like I said, with the Nine of Wands, it's like, I don't know if I want to let you back in. Oh boy. Your best path to follow, the Lovers. Libra. The Lovers being your advice. I would like to say with the King of Swords being in future conditions here that you're going to make a very clear choice in terms of what you choose to do with a relationship, right? But the problem is that there are some things that you're not willing to allow in, or things that you may not be willing to accept about someone. But we really need to look at, the choice that's being made here. Is it the right thing for you? But this could be about, major life choices though too. But I really think that this is going to have to do with, a relationship where you may need to be, a little bit more open to another person, which can be the case, or, right, you need to look at the choices that you're making in terms of love, period, especially if heartbreak is nothing new to you. In rejection. This really looks like, I can't believe this person, pushed me out this way. And then here they are again. But there's going to have to be a choice here with the Lovers. And your environment strength, right? And I don't think that you're trying to hold yourself back, and I don't think that you're trying to force anything. I think somebody else may be, being a little bit forceful in the way that they think about the situation, possibly. But, this is you trying to find, the inner courage and the strength to possibly keep this person out, and this is a major choice that you're going to have to make here. But the thing is we're not ending the situation, and that's what is like being pointed out here, so we're not really ending it, but we're not really moving forward on it. But this makes sense to me. Your hopes and your fears, the Seven of Wands. This, I would say, is that you are going to be looking at this hoping that what you have to say is something that they're not going to oppose. You may be used to dealing with somebody that every time you try to express how you feel, they quickly shoot it down. That's not logical. That's not reasonable. But it's totally discrediting the emotions that you've had, So I kind of look at that as, first of all, drawing the line in the sand. I'm not dealing with any more bullshit, right? But hoping that they don't try to shoot you down every time you say something or speak up and use your voice. And you may be tired of dealing with that. And yeah, you may have been holding yourself back a little bit here. And it may be that you need to find the strength to just give them a piece of your mind. Maybe they need to be a little bit more open to the reasoning behind why you're not letting them in, especially if they're not owning up to what they may have caused you. Wow, man. And then coming out the Six of Wands. Now, this could show, that maybe there's some recognition that's happening here, and maybe this person wants to do things the right way. Maybe we are getting to a breakthrough on this situation. Attention and recognition. But I always look at the Six of Wands and think, besides a small personal victory, are you doing the right thing where you can hold your head up high about what you are choosing to do, right? But, again, is this person recognizing what you've been through? Because they're lacking emotional understanding. Oh, I should have kept my mouth shut about endings. All right. But is that something that you feel like is the right thing to do? Or is this something that is out of your hands? I did everything that I could possibly do, right? So the Tower, and looking at the Five of Pentacles at, right, like somebody literally kicking them out of, or somebody literally kicking you out of their life. My God, if I could talk right. But complete destruction here, right? A situation that completely collapses and you're just like left. You're just left there, right? And it would make sense that you're still focused on this and focused on the heartbreak, especially if there is this kind of like offer being made to have a new connection emotionally. But the thing that I always caution with the Knight of Cups is follow through, And I don't think it's going to be that easy for you to follow what your heart wants in this situation. And this is going to be a major life choice with a very serious relationship, I think, for some of you, with the Lovers being there. But I think that this is going to be about finding the strength to do what you know is going to be right for you. And I don't think it really matters how other people see it when we're talking about, recognition. I think it's more about you being able to hold your head up and say, I did the right thing here. And then with the Ten of Swords, is it about you ending the situation, or is it about the other person ending the situation? Or are we getting victory over this? My problem is that if the worst is over with, you're going to have to be the one here to kind of like let that go, right? But that really depends on whether or not this person understands where you're coming from, especially with that Seven of Wands. Because I really feel like every time you speak up, that's not reasonable. That's not logical. That's not fair. Now, it could be that the worst is over with here with the Ten of Swords, or it could be that you feel like the right thing to do here is to end the situation. It depends on you and the choice that you make. And it also depends on the person that you're dealing with here. But you're not that willing to just kind of like let that in. You can't say, I love you and make things right. Okay, so the throat chakra. Clearly here, we're needing to open that up and start speaking. And again, the Seven of Wands, right? Speaking up, using your voice. But with gratitude being in the middle of this, I think that you need to come from a place of being grateful for the experience, even if it was a negative one, right? Because it gives you at least some kind of understanding in terms of your emotions. And it also gives you an understanding of where you can take control to make a big transition in your life. But that communication needs to come out. You have to do it from a place of being, thank you for the lesson learned, right? But here's what I have to say. It almost has like a Knight of Swords type of feel here. But communication is going to be important, you being able to speak up about some stuff here. And passion and pleasure savor your life. Once you get over this obstacle, you will be able to enjoy your life, right? And be grateful. Be grateful for all the pleasurable moments, but always follow your passion. Nothing should ever be a permanent block or obstacle, right? But really, this is a big choice for you. You can either end this, and it may not be pretty, but at least you can hold your head up, or you can decide that the worst is over with, and maybe we can get past this, but I would caution the follow through on the emotional part with the Knight of Cups, especially if their inability to follow through on what they were offering or what they were saying caused complete destruction in the past in the first place, But it's up to you, Libra. It's all up to you.